Ciao, bestie! How are you guys? This is going to be the first video ever made in English on this channel. I know, you're welcome. Today I'm going to explain to you guys how to keep and raise a veiled chameleon. But before I start the video, sigla! This is Dito. Dito is a Cameleo calyptratus that originally comes from Yemen, known as veiled chameleon. He's a 2-year-old male and he is super shy. Like, super shy. But before we get into the video, I want to warn you. Remember to be well informed before buying any type of animal, especially if it's an exotic one. We highly discourage the purchase of a chameleon for neophytes or children because these are sensible animals that easily get stressed. They should be handled rarely or not at all. We only take Dito out when we have to clean his terrarium or on rare occasions when we want to show you how he's doing. Because you guys love him. What to do before buying a chameleon? You have to buy a terrarium that is developed in height, as they are arboreal animals. The terrarium must be completely made out of net for 2 reasons. Chameleons live in ventilated environments, so if you have a glass, wood, or plastic terrarium, there won't be enough ventilation. The other reason why you must avoid reflecting terrariums is that chameleons are extremely territorial animals. So if they see their reflection on the glass or on the plexiglass, they'll stress out thinking that there's another chameleon. For the same reason, you can't breed chameleons in pairs or more. The size of the terrarium must grow with our chameleon. We'll have a smaller terrarium for a smaller specimen, while for a medium adult one, a bigger one. You can build a terrarium from scratch, or even buy a pre-made one. They even sell terrariums online that you just have to assemble. So yeah, you have many options. As a substrate, we have chosen a synthetic grass mat, which is surely not the most comfortable choice because it takes more time to clean, but it's nice to the eyes. The best choice would be to put nothing on the bottom and just keep a net that separates the chameleon from a tray that will be located under the terrarium and used to collect the feces and excess water. So, about lighting and heating. You'll need 2 lamps. The first one is a spot heating lamp. This lamp will provide a hotspot in our terrarium, and it must be placed outside the terrarium because if it's placed inside, it could burn the skin of our animal. We use a 40-watt lamp, but the important thing is that the temperatures are around 30 to 35 degrees in the basking area, which is the area immediately under the lamp, while in the rest of the terrarium, the temperatures mustn't go below 20 degrees during the day and below 18 during the night. The second lamp is a 5% UVB lamp. These types of lamp are used for the correct calcification of the animal skeleton. In fact, we use a compact lamp that we have placed horizontally, even if the best choice would be to put a neon tube. The UVB lamp must be placed at a maximum of 30 centimeters from where the animal spends more time in the terrarium. In summer, it is possible to put the terrarium outside, but of course, it has to be sheltered by some kind of roof, and I recommend that if you decide to bring the animal outdoors, you keep him there. You can't bring the animal in and out because then he will get stressed. Another piece of advice that I can leave you is to always have a spare lamp, you know, in case the first one breaks. So let's talk about the setup now. The terrarium must be full of plants and branches. The plants will provide a shelter for the animal and increase the humidity of the terrarium, while the branches are necessary because the animal will travel by climbing onto them. Don't use a Benjamin ficus because it secretes a white liquid that could be very dangerous for the eyes of the chameleon. The branches must be many and firm to avoid unpleasant falls of our animal. So don't use smooth branches such as those of bamboo if not as supports of the other plants. Another thing to avoid are large lakes or large waterfalls that may look aesthetically pleasant, but they are very dangerous for the chameleon. There are also a few accessories that must be bought, such as the water dripper and the nebulizer that I will talk about in more detail later on. The last thing you gotta know before buying a chameleon is that they eat almost exclusively insects, so living food. But we will talk about this in more detail later. What to do when you're buying your chameleon? Now let's talk instead about what we will do when we find ourselves in front of the seller or the breeder. Many people get so excited that they just think about buying whatever chameleon they find and then go home. No, you have to check many things before buying your new friend. The first aspect that I recommend you to check is the gender. Is it a male or a female? There's a big difference. The male lives longer, usually about 8 years, while the female lives from 5 to 6 years maximum. Even without mating, females will lay their eggs once or twice a season, and this thing will lead to a stressed and aggressive animal that will hide in the lower part of the terrarium most of the time. How do I recognize a male then? Well, the males have brighter colors, they have a more developed helmet, and they're larger than the females. They reach 40 centimeters of length, while the females a maximum of 30. Of course, it's hard to tell the difference with young specimens because they are all more or less the same size. But a detail that will make you sure whether it is a female or a male is a spur that you can find on the back of the hind's leg foot, which only males have. Before we go home with our new pet, we will need one last thing. The breeder or the shopkeeper must provide us with the CITES document, which is a mandatory document for the breeding of the animal. What to do after you bought a chameleon? We finally bought the chameleon and took it home. Warning. A mistake that many make is to immediately feed the chameleon. No! The animal will be stressed out for the transport, the trip and everything, so he could vomit out of stress. So I would recommend you to not feed the chameleon for at least one day. After all that, we will give our friend insects sprinkled with calcium every day and sprinkled with calcium plus D3 once a week. D3 is a vitamin that provides the calcification of the bones of our chameleon. Both the insects and the calcium can be found in exotic pet stores or online. Always remember to wait at least 2 hours before turning off the lights once you fed your animal, and the same thing works for the morning, so wait at least 2 hours before feeding the animal once you turned on the lamps. The terrarium should be sprayed with water at least twice a day, preferably once in the morning and once in the evening. In summer, especially if you decide to bring the terrarium outside, it should be sprayed at least 4 to 5 times a day. But how does our chameleon drink? Unfortunately, chameleons can't see still water, so we need something that creates the movement of the water, which is the water dripper. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything out. If you did enjoy the video, please like it, share it to all of your friends and comment whatever you like. If you want to buy the same products that we used, check out the description below where we put all the links to purchase them. Lastly, if you have any questions, curiosities, or you just want to chat with us, you can do it on Instagram or in the comments below. Ciao bestie!